Good morning, Jun.
Morning, Susan.
We're just waiting a couple of minutes for everyone to join.
Sure.
Hi, folks.
Hello, E.
Hello, E. Hello, Bingbing.
Hello, everyone.
Hello, Binbin. Yeah, Binbin, I'm going to pass the host to you.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, it's been switched. Given some people may be traveling today, so we might have low attendance today, but we'll see.
Can you see my screen?
Yes, I can.
Okay, cool. Let's start the meeting at we can wait 1 more minute.
Yeah, sounds good.
Okay, let's start. So firstly, so for the CIR design, yesterday, Susan, you host a meeting and we discuss with MDS team on this topic, and we are aligned on the user behavior. But for the implementation details, I think we need to they need to do some updates on this doc. For the this one. I remember it's just missing verified commit. Okay. Yeah, no, we need to wait for the author to verify all the commits. And okay, for CIR, CIR design. Junchen, do you want to go over some details? We already went through the overall doc on Tuesday. So I think the overall design looks good. We just have some comments on some implementation details and some concept descriptions. So we can just go through the comments. Susan, do you think it's good?
Yeah, while we have E on the call, I just want to talk a little bit of a bit about the customer experience, just on a high level, like if they have a CA that supports OCSP, so we'd first do the OCSP check, and if OCSP did not return any revoked certificate, then do we continue with the CRO? So I just want Junchen to run me and E through the high level user experience. If that's already captured in the doc, that's great. But if we don't have the customer, I think we have a verification request updated workflow. So maybe we can just look at the diagram just with while we have E on the call as well.
Hi, can you hear me? Yeah.
Yes,
Oh,
hi, Jingchen.
sure. So, while we may looking at the diagram, I have just placed three like pending discussing questions about related to user scenarios in our chat window.
Okay, the Zoom chat window, got it.
In chat window, we have go through the high-level designs that will have the CRL configured in both verify and KMP configuration to download the CRL bundle and provide to notation verifier when we need to verify the revocation check. And the revocation check, according to the current design, is configured from the trust policy to which can be optional, even the revocation check it fails. We have the detail of how this value how some, let me check the exact line reference. On 106, we have listed different types of restrict levels. So if the revocation check will be blocked, and
Pimpin, would you be able to go to that section for the Junchen mentioned line 106. I'm not sure if you're able to view the line number in the in this view. Is this it, Junchen?
it's not what I'm referring to. Let me check the line again. 1 second. I just go ahead and paste the link here. I'm referring to this reference link is from the notation spec that saying how the trust policy configure works to ensure that the signature verification can be configured. Like for example, if we configure skip, we would skip the revocation check, and we have some samples going down. Zero. And it comes to the first discussion point that if we should configure a default max age or time to live in the KMP and verify configuration to ensure the refresh interval to match the community standard. And by looking at the latest implement of notation cargo, this part has been removed. I'm not sure if there's any like updates from the notation side that we are about to change this time, or this is a question for E.
Junchen, you mean the first question, right? First one.
Yeah, actually all three are for you, but yeah, we can do it one by one.
Yeah.
So
Yes, I think the first one, we needed to have a notary project maintenance join to discuss this. Patrick, Junjie, and Shiwei to discuss this. I would like to understand the additional work that Ratify will work on the settings, because by default everything should be handled by the notation Go libraries, right? But we needed to make sure what additional work and what's the reason that Ratify needed to do the additional settings on the verifiers. Otherwise, I think everything just follow the notary project trust policy configurations for the CIL.
Sure. That's fine. I can go turn to Patrick or Junjie offline, but I want to describe a scenario that we have come up like this Tuesday, that for customized verifier plugin that may also be able to use the CIL. So it would be nice if we can have the refresh interval setting in our KMP or the custom verifier configuration, so we can ensure the refresh rate is fine to all those verifiers.
I'm trying to understanding what other customer verifiers. So my understanding is at least at this moment the CIL support is mainly for the notary project solutions. So if you mean customer verifiers, I mean, because the CIL is part of the signature verification, right? So what will be the other scenarios for the CIL, except besides notary project scenarios?
Yeah, even so cosign may not support CRL yet, but it could be applicable to the cosign verifier if they do support CRL. So I think the general scenario is once we define the KMP, the certificate that's used for signature verification, and we also want to define what's the time to live for the cached revoked certificate list, like, and where do we want to define that TTL? Would it be in the KMP, or should we define it in the trust policy for each individual verifier?
I think for cosign case, first of all, the main scenario for cosign is the Kitty's solution, so there's no CIL involved. Another solution that we support is the sign and verify the key solution. I mean the public key. But for the keys plus the certificates, I think currently for Ratify we didn't even test this case. I mean, when you verify the key, you can also use the certificates that cosign support, but I don't think we have that document anywhere. So currently for cosign, we support keys, we support the public key, but with the key plus certificates, I don't think we test this scenario yet. So I think it will be low priority for this case. And even later on, we want to add some settings for cosign related CIL. I would, my opinion is it will be on the cosign verifier, something like that. For the KMP, I think it is mainly managing the keys and the certificates. I don't think it interacts with any entity that's involved in the CLL scenarios.
Yeah, thanks, Yi. So Junchen, are we currently just looking at making TTL configurable from the verifier configuration?
Oh yeah, sure.
Is that the proposed experience, or do we just have some? So if we make it configurable, that means the customers can configure the TTL, but then if it's not a part of the trust policy specification, then we have to add it to some other section of the verifier CR. But I think the action would be here to follow up with the notary folks on if TTL would be configurable in the trust policy.
Oh, sure.
Is
Yeah.
that correct, Bin?
I just have one concern that if we have multiple verifiers and they can even share the same KMP. And so in some cases, if users have different TTL for different verifiers, so how we choose the TTL? So because I think TTL is based on the cert from the KMP. So I feel if it's under the KMP configuration, it will be easier to manage that because like all verifiers will reference the same KMP and I feel this is some configuration for the
On the
KMP, not for the
KMP.
verifier.
Got it.
Yeah, my question is, the TTL is about caching, right? But it doesn't. It is not related to the KMP, although the certificate stored in the KMP, but from the CL caching, it not. I mean, the component is different components.
Yeah, let me try to answer this. So, we introduced certs from both KMP and cert pass in the verify configuration. For these two, customer source defined, we can do the CRO caching without starting the verifier itself and without reading from the trust policy. So, based on the currently design, we probably gonna go to like valid the to set up the time to live of the CRO cache as soon as we have introduced the certs from either the customer resource. Does that make sense?
I didn't quite understand, but I still think this is not related to KMP. But we put this configuration is for another purpose that different verifiers can reference. But from function point of view and the interaction point of view, it is not for the KMP. I mean, it's not related.
Let me give it another.
Yeah.
Sorry. Let me give it another try. So, the one thing is that the CRL expire time is not related to verify itself, right? It just related to the cert. And
but for KMP, it's just to manage the cert. It is not related to KMP itself because there's no caching mechanism with KMP in this solution. For example, if I have an inline KMP
yeah,
configured, it's the CL still work.
yeah, the CRL still works for sure. And there will be a process that the inline KMP cert to be load into the service, and as soon as we can get the cert X509 cert list cert chain, we can do the CRL validation and the CRL cache validation. There's no extra components needed at this point, I bet.
So you mean that because the certificates are stored in KMP and we needed to extract some CR related information from that certificate.
Yeah.
So we want to add this TTL configuration in the KMP configuration.
Exactly.
I think one user scenario is that when user just like deploy the Ratify and there is only like, for example, one cosine verifier and one KMP. So in this case, do you think we should cache the cert? Oh, catch the CRL, sorry.
Yeah, as I said, for the cosine scenario, we didn't really go through that scenario yet. I mean, the public key plus certificate and how the revocation, how the CRL will behave. I mean, currently we're focusing on the notary project, right? And also for notary project, the configuration is in the trust policy. Yeah,
I think, Junchen, let's follow up with notary on if TTL would be a part of trust policy.
Yeah, sure. Based on my current understanding, if notation have set up TTL in the cache component rather than the trust policy, then we'll follow the current design and apply the same setting to the KMP. If not, I can like gather more information and bring this offline. Sure.
Yeah, we can maybe once we have an understanding from notary, let's also add a section on the changes to the CRs in the proposal. And then like it's just better to have what the CRs for the KMP and the verifier look like. And then we can have this discussion again on the proposed customer experience.
Exactly. Sure. Okay. So I guess we can move on to the second question. Shall we? Oh yeah. So we have a discussion on trust policy default behavior. As we all know that OCSP is probably it is prioritized for CRL in notation. But there are also scenarios that where OCSP may take longer time than CRL. Should we have a configuration to change the behavior, or is there any plan to change for the switching between OCSP and CRL for revocation check?
Yeah, for this this one currently OCSP is the firstly we'll check OCSP, right? Then if there are server-side errors or OCSP return the unknown some status for certificates, then CRL will be automatically checked. This is the current behavior, and I think previously we discussed in notary project there will be option for user to use CRL checking owning, but it may not be this option, yeah, in 1.3, I think, for the notation. So for this one, I also needed to check with the notary project maintainers on the implementation. But for the upcoming notary project release, it is the OCSP first, then CRL will be automatically checked based on some conditions.
Yeah,
Is my understanding correct? It's OCSP or CRL. So if we got a valid response from OCSP, then we will not continue with CRL.
You are right. If we, if OCSP response and with correct status, then CRL is not checked.
Thanks.
So I think because Ratify will use the library, I think maybe from the notation Go library point of view, I mean, there could be this option already. I mean, the API already, because what I just mentioned is from the notation CLI point of view, because the CLI is how user interacts with notation, right? So user may need to choose using CLL solution, then user need to do some configuration. But from the notation Go point of view, maybe this API is already available that you can choose CRL or OCSP as the default behavior.
Okay,
So
sure.
I'm not sure, Junchen,
Uh-huh.
did you spend some time on the notation Go libraries? Because as I know that there are PRs merged recently, so maybe you can take a look to see whether from API point of view, there are options for you to choose CRL, option for you to choose OCSP only, and also option to choose OCSP first, then fall back to CRL automatically.
Fallback has been implemented. I've taken a look into the PRs that merged in notation cargo, but seems the option of prefer CRL over OCSP have not been set yet. Yeah, I
Okay.
I can chat with Patrick for further information as if this is still under discussion. And yeah, I see.
Okay.
It's good to know there is a plan.
Yeah. But at
And
least for the second question, the default behavior is clear, right?
yeah, it's clear.
Yeah.
We got that. And the last one is about extension, like in the trust policy. Let me see, where's the link? Hi, Bingbing, would you go to the like last tab, the notation specs, and we can go down to the bottom of that. Yeah, like Q&A part. If mentioned on the second question, like notary projects have get an override revocation endpoint to support. So far I didn't see this get implemented, and it marked as to do as well here. So is it possible to switch verification of the default CIL and of the default CIL list and OCSP that comes from the certs at this point, or are we planning to?
Can you clarify your question again? I didn't understand.
Oh, so my question is the second question gonna be implemented in notation 1.4.0 or we are
There's
not?
no plan for it yet.
Sorry?
Yeah, currently there's no plan in
Okay.
for this.
So yeah.
So in that case, user can skip the revocation validation on the trust policy.
I see.
So your question is related because we support cache, right? Then we may have the scenario to preload the cache into the system so that it's still user can turn on this revocation validation, right?
Exactly.
Yeah, but in that case, there is a missing piece that how frequently we will that user need to manually update the cache, the preloaded cache, because there will be updates, right? There still need some way that user need to update the cache in certain
Intervals.
frequency.
Yeah.
Yeah,
see.
yeah.
So yeah, good to know that it's not planned to implement it yet, and we can stick with current design. So yeah, I think all the questions I have listed can be answered by you. And for further details, I can get offline and turn to Patrick for
Yeah,
the implementation details.
Yeah,
please.
especially for the first question, the config in KMP, I think we need a further discussion about it.
Sure. Back to Susan and Bingbing.
Actually, I have one more question on the TTL setup. So to E, my question is that if we, for example, if user sets the TTL to 1 week, and for the CIL next update, it's probably like 5 days later. and which means we will refresh the CIR after this bundle expired. Do you think we should also update before the next update time?
I think we need to discuss with Notary project with these
Okay.
details. Yeah.
Um,
And I think basically it should follow some standard practice. Yeah, Junjie, please.
sorry, by the last time I checked with Junjie, so the current plan is to first we'll refresh according to the next update, which will be 5 days, and after that update, we'll refresh the TTL interval to next 7 days, so it will get another refresh in the 12 days. So there will be like 2 refreshes happen according to either condition met. But like no matter which one triggered the refresh, the TTL will get refreshed as well. And here's the current plan. And yeah, I can add more information if the discussion going on and bring up more context to make sure everyone's on the same page.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think also from Notary project point of view, I will also check with Junjie and Patrick to see whether this details was documented somewhere. Maybe Notary project specification needs to be updated to reflect this current behavior as well.
Yeah. I think
Okay.
back to page.
So do you want to
I
go
think,
through the
yeah,
comments?
one more thing. I think because currently, I think the CIL will be, at least currently will be for the Notary project scenario, the complete end-to-end scenarios. So I think we can follow the what Notary project is going to support and also implement accordingly in Ratify. So for additional work, for example, whether the TTL currently is configurable through trust policy, and also the third question that Junjie asked. So once there is a plan on Notary project for Ratify, I think we can just plan it accordingly because we rely on the Notary project implementation and solutions.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Okay, we have one comment. Junjie, have you reviewed this comment?
Yeah, I've reviewed all of them, and I'm not sure why this one is not commented yet. I have response to most of the comments. This one, oh, I see. I just answered it on the GitHub page, so it's like we can see a discussion in the conversation part. Yeah, it just was choosing like the literally. Maybe we have to go up a little bit. It's on in the Susan's review and a little bit more.
Anybody see a screen? I don't see a screen.
Yes, that's a good point. I can go ahead and share my screen.
Oh, yeah, I can make you an host.
And after get this answered, I can quickly go through the workflow.
Hi, Binbin. In the interest of time, should we can, I think Junchen, we can follow up offline on the individual comments. But Binbin, while we have Josh on the call, should we run through the 1.4 plan?
Oh,
And
yeah.
then if we have time, we can come back to the CRO comments.
Yeah, makes sense. Thanks for the money. Okay, let's go over the roadmap of the next release 1.4. Okay, so currently we have 4 major features. One is the CRL that Junchen, you are currently working on. Do you think we can deliver it by maybe the target date is not November 30. I think it's probably mid of December.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think we can
y-
target
Yeah.
for November, but we're likely to split to split.
Yeah, let me calculate. It's it's December because we also have a 2 weeks delay for previous release, right? It's by default we have a three months cadence. It should be sometime in December. Yeah, you're right. Maybe
Thank you.
before the holiday in December.
Okay. So Junchen, do you think we can deliver this feature in this milestone?
Yeah, I think it's promising.
Okay, cool. And for the
Sorry,
art,
one more thing. As I just said, this is for the notary project signatures only. So of course we can consider whether they are common solution for any customer customized verifier, for example, for cosign. But for this release, we are targeting the scenario for notary project signatures, and also we have dependencies on notary project implementation. So if, for example, the TTL configuration and also the extension question, the third question, are not planned by notary project in the upcoming 1.3 release, we can follow the default notary project behavior, which is OCSP first, then CRL fallback. Then later on, we can iterate the solution.
okay. Yeah, I think firstly, the design should be generous to all verifiers, not just notation only, but probably for the implementation, the implementation in this release, it will be like target for notation.
Yeah, especially for the cosign signatures, because I mentioned we didn't verify that pass yet.
Yeah.
With public key and also certificate, if certificate revoked, that part we didn't verify yet. So if we want to support the cosign scenario for that, we may need to test that scenario. So that also needs some time for it.
Yeah, that makes sense. Okay. Next, the trusted signing as key management provider. Do you want?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I also create an issue for it. So currently there's no detail to share because it also depending on the trusted sign solution when it is available, so that we can add the support from Ratify site. So I will work on this. So if we cannot catch this in next release, so maybe the release after 1.4 is still okay, because we also have this dependency on other components.
Yeah, if we're not committed on this one, could we remove it? We could put it just to the next release so that people know it's on the roadmap.
Maybe we can opt it maybe in October. Let's check this roadmap again. Is that okay? Because according to the plan, so there should be yeah, there should be something in October related to trust sign. So currently it is a public preview for trust sign service. It's available in the public documentation, but there are some other things to be ready. We can check this in October and reflect the milestone.
I see. So do you want to leave the PR open until October, or do you want to merge
That
the
is,
roadmap updates?
currently there's no PR. It's an issue for this feature. It's an issue for this feature. My plan is maybe in October, I will create a PR for the proposal to describe the scenarios. That is plan. I think at least maybe based on the timeline and other arrangements, maybe at least we can target in to finalize the scenarios first.
Yeah.
But we will get back to this in October.
Yeah, so likely we will not deliver this for 1.4.
Yeah, because we still have 3 months, right? So there is a chance, I would say, but it depends on the scope and also how much work we need for the implementation part, because we already have the error keyword KMP, right? So maybe it's not that complicated to implement another KMP. We can, but let's discuss this in October once the scenario is clear, and also once the scenario clear, maybe for the implementation, we know some details about the implementation, then we can have a better estimation. But for now, I would like to still put this feature in 1.4 milestone.
Yeah. Okay. Would you be able to add a note on the issue that will loop back in October?
Yeah, I can comment on that issue.
Yeah.
Yeah, no problem.
But I think from a planning perspective, like if we hear back from the external team, and then we work on the scenario proposal, whatnot, it'll bring us to like early November, and then we may have like other work to wrap up that we may not have enough buffer time to implement like a brand new key management provider. Which is why, like, I'm just giving you a heads up, like we can put it in 1.4, but it's likely going to spill over to the next release.
Yeah, actually there's another, yeah, maybe, yeah, let's discuss that, because from the user point of view, is that actually there is a way to configure the inline KMP for it, but this will not provide a streamlined experience. But there is a way that Ratify can support validation signatures generated by trust design service with the inline KMP. So I'm considering what I may need to rephrase this as more general. So yeah, the trusted sign as a new KMP could be another solution to achieve our goal. But in the first phase, maybe by end of this year, we can provide the inline provider solution. Yeah. So yeah, I will comment this on that issue, and then we will get back to this plan in October.
Okay,
Yeah,
cool.
sounds
Thank
good.
you. Okay. Yeah. Next feature, I think it's the latest version of the KMP. Hey Josh, I wonder if you are able to keep working on this feature in the current release.
The N version one?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, I'm working on a design doc right now.
Oh, cool. Thank you.
Mhm. Yeah, I might have. So KubeCon's coming up in November. So with the deadline in December, I don't see any issues. I will have some stuff that will pull me away in November for KubeCon. But I think there should be plenty of time. Just looking over, I spent the last couple days looking it over and putting my thoughts together and seeing what would all change. So I don't think it'll be an issue. But if time and constraints become an issue, I'll be sure to bring it up plenty of time. So don't foresee that's happening, but just throw it out there.
Yeah, thank you. Okay, last
Really
one.
appreciate your help, Josh.
No problem. It's been a pleasure.
The artifact filtering. Yeah, so we already have the design block. But I think for this feature, things is we need contribution from like others. So I think we can't commit it for this release. But as the discussion yesterday, they confirmed that it will be implemented in the current release. So probably we can say, oh, it will be it will be out in the current release.
It's only going to be age-based, right? Is what
Oh yes, right.
and the other
Cool.
work that's not captured under major feature would be Sharam's working on upgrading the deprecated APIs. So it doesn't change the user experience for now. But do we want to capture that somewhere, or is okay that it's just being planned in the current release on the board?
I think from the roadmap point of view, it will mainly focus on features, especially epic features. And yeah, for the other work, maybe we can just include it in the milestone. It's fine.
Okay, let's
Yeah,
just
what do we
do a
have in the
quick-
milestone?
We have 19 open,
Uh,
right? Maybe we can charge a bit.
we have a lot. We don't have much time today, but I think we can clean up some like issues next meeting.
I remember there is one migrate to the latest Azure Container Registry SDK. I remember previously Akash mentioned the SDK is ready, right?
Yeah,
And
959.
Yeah.
I can provide an update on that. I'm currently working on that. The coding is done. I'm just trying to run Azure end-to-end test on my fork repository. I have made some progress on that. I'm looking at the logs. There's one failing test at the moment. It's a bit tricky to find the root cause of it, but I'm working on it. I think I can manage that to work end-to-end. I have asked a few questions from Junchain, Binbin, and Akash. I have passed a few of the blockers. There's just one test failing at the moment. I'm hoping that I can finish it by maybe tomorrow. But yeah,
Sure.
back to your question, the SDK is released. The code change is not that much. It's just that I need to make sure it works.
Sharam, would you be able to open a draft PR with the link of the run to your fork? So then whenever we get a chance, we can also review the output logs to see if we have any input on the failing test.
Yeah, of course. Do you want the PR on my fork repository, or do you want me to create a PR on the actual Ratify project?
Yeah, on Ratify.
Yeah,
So yeah, so it's easier to for people to find.
Sure.
All right. Actually, I think this one probably be fixed by the error handling PRs. Yeah, currently, if we run kubectl get verify, it will. Let me check. Oh, probably not. I need to check one more time. Okay. And for the ratified release assets, assign the assets, and Akash have done a lot of work on that. I will check with Akash if we can close this issue.
Yeah, we've only signed the dev asset for now, and we're waiting,
Oh, yeah.
collecting feedback for the published ones.
Okay. Oh, but I remember we also signed some assets of the release. I'll check out that.
Yeah, we can check with
Okay.
Akash. Currently, I think it is only dev-related assets. I remember I wrote this in the blog.
Okay. Okay. Gotcha.
For
Okay,
the
so,
multi-tenancy work, Bin, are we planning to continue that work this release?
uh, the roadmap. On the roadmap, the multi-tenancy is supported on the V2, but
Yeah.
so basically my plan is to work on the V2 design and the prototype in the 1.4 like release. So basically the next 2 months. So if I have some bandwidth, I can work on some maybe multi-tenancy or some other features that are like important.
I think I can explain it. I move this to V2 is because for multi-tenancy, we still need to collecting feedbacks. So I try to avoid that we implemented too much, but we didn't receive any feedback from the users on some real scenarios. So that I move this to V2. So maybe at that time, we will have more feedback from user using multi-tenancy solutions. Then we can continue to implement the rest, or we may adjust some solutions related to multi-tenancy support. So I would say it's not prioritized for 1.4. I think for 1.4, the main target is firstly we complete this work related to the periodical fetch the certificates, and also we complete the end-to-end solution for notary project signature related sign and verification that is related to the CIL. And there is a new service trusted sign. So we needed to collaborate with it, and also it's also use notary project signatures. So it's related. I think that is the main goal for 1.4, which is to complete the end-to-end scenarios for notary project scenarios.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, and I think Bing, you mentioned the way to some fundamental work. Maybe later on you will have some issues or proposals, right? Then we can break down your proposals into work items. Then we can plan it iteratively for different milestones.
Yes, that makes sense. Okay. Okay. Do we want to go back to the CRL issue?
From Juncheng's screenshot, it looks like the comments haven't been published. So I think, Juncheng, you can publish these comments and then we can review them. We'll need some time to read them.
Yeah, sure. I've already published them, and
Actually, I have one question. So, if we just follow the implementation of notary project, by default, the revocation checking will be enabled, right? And by default, it is OCSP, and everything will be handled by the notary project, the notation libraries. So if we just bump up the dependencies, and during signature verification, what will happen for Ratify? I think it will happen smoothly, right? Without any changes for CIL.
Yeah, so far the
Junchen.
only so far the only concern we have is the download time of the CRL, which probably might up to like 32 megabytes, and it will in general like increase the verification time, and we have some timeouts on like trying to fetch the CIL and OCSP. It's either 3 seconds or 5 seconds. Yeah, want to reduce the overall time taken on preparing for verification, and this is the purpose of our design.
Yeah.
And
I think, yeah, maybe we also need to try to test the performance as you mentioned. And also, I think with your proposal, we also needed to demonstrate the effect that with your proposal, it will be improved, right? So I think from testing point of view, we also needed to test the time needed to cache and also the size. I mean, the Ratify performance testing, I think maybe we needed to considering.
yeah.
Yeah, on the note of testing, what do you recommend for validating like a real world scenario with where you can have a certificate and then have a revoked certificate list? Do we have any CAs we could use?
Yeah, I think some public say already have that list. I think
Yeah, could you share some pointers with Junchen?
Yeah, I think Patrick Junjie, they have that. The notary from notary project side, they have that. I think Junchen can contact and use that for testing to validate the performance. I just put another angle that we needed to do some tests on the performance. Maybe in our document we will also share the results so that the user can be aware of that with certain amount of certificate, and also given the size of a common CRL list, what will be the performance.
Yep. I'll add a note in the meeting notes as well to follow up on the CAs for more real world testing. Yeah, just on the, well, we have Josh for the end version support. Josh, from your understanding, what's the scope of the change? Is it, so at the moment we're fetching the latest, supporting the end versions. Is it mainly reorganizing the structure of how we stored certificates in memory?
I don't think we'll even need to do too much there because I took some time and looked over the code. The KMP stores them as a KMP key, so that has the name and version of the certificate, and then also an array of 509 certificates. But when it goes to hand it over to the verifier, like notation or cosign, it flattens all the keys in the KMP into an array of the certificates. And then the certificates itself has enough data, metadata in it to be able to identify whatever the public key is from the signature. So there's nothing in the KMP that's actually used in the verification. So with that, we really don't need to change the structure if we don't want to. We could, these will be questions in the design document I'm working on. But we could organize it so the KMP is aware that these 3 certificates are actually of the same version. But since the verifier doesn't care, we don't necessarily need to change our structure. We could just add them in as another entry, as the same name, because the version will be different. So they could just be stacked, entry 1 and entry 2 are the same certificate, but different versions. But as far as if you actually look at the certificate, versions is just a construct that the KMP, like Key Vault, uses. The certificates are actually entirely different. So we could just have them 1 and 2 in the KMP, or we could, if we want to, we could reorganize the KMP data structure to say, this is certificate named default, and it has 3 certificates attached to it that are version X, Y, and Z. But really that would only benefit organization for us if we ever needed to group all the certificates together by name. But I couldn't see that needing to be a case, since when we hand it over to the verifier, all it does is flatten the certs into a list and passes it over. So the scope, to answer your initial question, would be updating the Key Vault provider, the Key Vault provider's logic to say, when you give me the name of a certificate, I'm going to go and get all the versions of that certificate that are available, and then add all versions up to the end version that I've specified. So if it's 3, I'll try to grab 3 certificates, 3 versions of that certificate and store them. Or if it's 2, it'll do that. So that's the scope of the change that I'm looking at, is simply if you've just given me a name and no version, then I'm going to attempt to grab N versions from Key Vault and store them in the KMP.
Does our status, when you do the describe of the KMP, would that allow, if we had multiple versions, how would they be reflected in the status property when you do a describe?
Oh, good question. Right now, so
We can test it out. We can
so in
follow up
the
next
current
time once
version,
you
it
have
would
that.
just, I believe it would just return you back as individual entries, right? So it would be like certificate name default and then version here, and then it would have another entry for a default with a different version. So they would be, separate certificates in KMP today.
Okay. Yeah, if you could just capture that in a document, like on what the status looks like today, then we can just review that and see if that maybe it's just no change and just take the status as is today, but would be good to discuss.
Let me write that down. Status B with multiple versions. Okay, no problem.
Binbin, do you have any initial areas, like thoughts on what areas we should be careful about for the N version change?
Not on my mind for now.
Thanks. Yeah, I think we had at time today.
Yeah, thank everyone.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Good to
everyone.
see you all. Take care.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you for hosting, Binbin.
Yeah. See you.